Judge Frank Caprio faces Thomas Beckford, a powerful businessman who fired an employee simply for getting a traffic ticket. What happens inside this courtroom will force Beckford to confront the very man he humiliated. On the record, in front of a full gallery, and nothing, not his money, not his status, not his arrogance will save him from what Judge Caprio is about to do Tuesday morning, 9:12 a.m., Providence Municipal Court. The bailiff calls the case number 2026TC 88412. State of Rhode Island versus Thomas Gerald Beckford. A tall, sharply dressed man in his mid-50s walks in as if the courtroom belongs to him. Perfect navy suit, expensive silver watch, a confidence that feels less like professionalism and more like entitlement. This is the kind of man who thinks consequences are for people beneath him. Thomas Beckford steps to the podium with a smirk like he's here to correct an inconvenience, not face justice. Judge Caprio looks up. "Good morning, Mr. Beckford." Beckford nods without real acknowledgement. "Morning. No, Your Honor. No respect. Just the casual arrogance of someone used to snapping his fingers and watching problems disappear." Caprio stays calm. "You're here today for a citation issued for illegal parking in a handicapped zone and for obstructing access to a medically designated ramp. Additionally, the officer's report states that when confronted, you refused to move your vehicle for over 11 minutes. Do you understand these charges?" Beckford smirks. "I understand the officer overreacted." Caprio glances down at the file. The report also states, "You told the officer and," I'm quoting, "I employ better people than you. Don't waste my time, did you say that?" Beckford shrugs. "Something like that." The courtroom murmurs. Caprio continues. "It also states that you refused to provide your license until backup arrived." Beckford lifts an eyebrow. "Your Honor, I'm a busy man. I have a company to run. I don't have time to debate parking lines with an overzealous patrolman." Caprio leans back slightly. "Busy or not, everyone must follow the law, Mr. Beckford." Beckford's smirk widens. "Look, just tell me the fine and I'll take care of it. Let's not drag this out." He says it like he's closing a business deal, not standing in a courtroom. But then Caprio turns a page. His expression changes subtleicum, but sharper. "Mr. Beckford, before we address the citation, there is an additional matter." Beckford stiffens almost imperceptibly. "Additional matter?" Caprio reads from another document, according to a sworn statement submitted yesterday. "You fired one of your employees, Mr. Daniel Morris, immediately after Officer Perez issued you this citation. The statement alleges that you blamed him for the ticket and dismissed him on the spot. Is that correct?" The smirk fades. Beckford's jaw tightens. "That's internal company business. It has nothing to do with this court." Caprio's tone stays steady. "When internal business involves retaliation connected to a law enforcement action, it becomes relevant." Beckford scoffs. "Retaliation? Please. I fired him because he's incompetent. That ticket wasn't my fault. He parked the car." Caprio looks down at the police narrative again. "The report states Mr. Morris was your assistant driver that morning." "Exactly," Beckford snaps. "He parked it. He shouldn't have." Caprio's eyes rise not with anger, but with a level of disappointment far more powerful. "Mr. Beckford, the officer's body cam footage clearly shows you driving the vehicle. The assistant was standing outside the car when the officer arrived." A ripple of shock moves through the courtroom. He recovers quickly, but not smoothly. "Your Honor, Daniel handed me the keys after he parked. He probably forgot to put the permit on the dash. That's why the officer thought, Mr. Beckford." Caprio cuts in gently but firmly. "The footage shows you exiting the driver's seat. There is no confusion here." Beckford's voice hardens. "Fine, I was driving. But he's the one who usually handles parking. It's his job. And the fact is, the ticket wouldn't have happened if he hadn't distracted me on the phone." Caprio folds his hands. "Mr. Beckford, did Mr. Morris distract you? Or did you fire him because you needed someone to blame for your own wrongdoing?" Beckford's nostrils flare. "I don't have to justify my HR decisions to a courtroom." Caprio stares at him quietly for 3 long seconds. The room is silent. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights seems to fade. "Mr. Beckford," Caprio says finally, "you not only violated the law, you punished an innocent man for it, a man who depended on his job. A man who, according to his statement, begged you to reconsider because he has 2 children at home." Beckford looks annoyed, not ashamed. "He'll find another job. That's not my problem." Caprio's voice dropped slow, controlled, razor-sharp. Perhaps not. But his livelihood became your weapon. That is absolutely this court's problem. Beckford leans forward. Your Honor, with all due respect, careful, Caprio warns quietly. Beckford pushes on anyway. This is a simple ticket. I don't know why we're turning it into a therapy session for a disgruntled ex-employee. Just tell me what I owe, so I can pay it and go. Caprio closes the folder calmly. Mr. Beckford, I will not accept your request to pay and go. Not with what I've seen. Beckford frowns. Excuse me. We're not done, Caprio says, because the man you fired, Mr. Daniel Morris, is present in this courtroom. A gasp sweeps the room. Beckford snaps his head toward the audience. Daniel Morris, a man in his late 30s wearing a worn dress shirt, stands slowly, looking nervous but determined. Beckford's face drains of color. Caprio continues. He has the right to be heard, and this court will hear him. Beckford blurts out, he shouldn't be here. This isn't his case. Caprio's tone sharpens. Sit down, Mr. Beckford. Beckford opens his mouth, then stops when the bailiff takes one step forward. He sits, slowly, angry. Cornered Caprio turns to Daniel. Mr. Morris, please step forward. Daniel approaches the podium, voice shaking. Good morning, Your Honor. Caprio nods kindly. Mr. Morris, I understand this is difficult, but I need you to tell this court what happened after the citation was issued. In your own words, Daniel takes a breath, looks down, then up again. After Officer Perez gave the ticket, Mr. Beckford got into the car. He told me it was my fault for not warning him the handicap spot was reserved. I told him that I did warn him twice, but he wasn't listening. Beckford mutters. Liar Caprio lifts a hand slightly. Beckford stops. Daniel continues. When we got back to the office, he told me I was dead weight and too expensive to keep around if I can't prevent stupid fines. I tried to explain. He fired me anyway. Caprio nods. And what did that mean for you? Daniel's eyes glisten. It meant I had no paycheck that week, or the next. I couldn't pay rent. My kids had to stay with my sister for 2 nights. I wasn't even given a reason on paper, just told to get out. The courtroom is silent. Caprio turns back to Beckford. Mr. Beckford, do you dispute any of this? Beckford glares at Daniel. He's exaggerating. He always was emotional. I fired him because he wasn't performing. End of story. Caprio responds softly. No, Mr. Beckford, not the end of the story. He sits back, slightly. In fact, this is just the beginning. The courtroom is frozen. Daniel Morris stands at the podium, hands trembling. Thomas Beckford sits stiffly, jaw clenched, his arrogance cracking for the first time since he walked in. Judge Frank Caprio folds his hands, his voice calm but carrying the weight of a man who has heard every excuse imaginable. Mr. Beckford, before I proceed, I want to ask you one question, and I advise you to think carefully before answering. Beckford forces a smirk. Go ahead. Caprio leans forward. Did you fire Mr. Morris because of this ticket? Beckford's eyes flicker. No, I fired him because he's unreliable. Caprio's gaze stays locked on him. Is that your final answer? Yes. Daniel's eyes lower to the floor. Caprio slowly turns to the clerk. Miss Gable, please retrieve Officer Perez's body cam transcript. A whisper creeps through the courtroom. Miss Gable hands the judge a printed document. Caprio reviews it silently, then lifts his eyes back to Beckford. Mr. Beckford, at 9:04 a.m., moments after the citation was issued. You said, and, I quote, Daniel, this stupid ticket is coming out of your job. I'm not losing money because you don't know how to do yours. Beckford's face goes pale. Caprio continues reading. Maybe losing your job will teach you how to think ahead. A stunned hush falls across the room. Caprio lowers the transcript. That was recorded on Officer Perez's body camera. Do you still want to maintain that you fired Mr. Morris for performance issues? Beckford swallows hard. Your Honor, that was said in the heat of the moment. Everyone says things they don't mean. Caprio raises an eyebrow. Then why did you follow through with the firing? Beckford sits frozen for several seconds. Then he mutters, because he's not a good fit. Caprio's disappointment is unmistakable. Mr. Beckford, you are under oath. I suggest you stop digging. Beckford slams a hand against the podium. Fine, yes. I fired him because I was upset about the ticket. There, are you happy? Caprio doesn't flinch. No, Mr. Beckford, I'm not happy. I'm deeply troubled." Beckford exhales shakily, looking around at the faces staring at him. His perfectly crafted image is collapsing in front of an entire courtroom. Caprio turns to Daniel. "Mr. Morris, is there anything else you wish to say?" Daniel hesitates, then nods. I was with that company for 8 years. I worked overtime for free. I drove him to meetings at midnight. I covered for his mistakes. And when he fired me, he didn't even let me grab my belongings. Security escorted me out like a criminal." Beckford scoffs. "Let's not get dramatic." Caprio's head snaps toward him. "Mr. Beckford, you will not belittle him." Beckford shuts his mouth. Caprio faces Daniel again. "Thank you, Mr. Morris. You may step back." Daniel returns to his seat, shoulders heavy. Caprio takes a moment. A long one, the kind that makes the entire room hold its breath. Then he looks at Beckford with a calmness far scarier than anger. "Mr. Beckford, allow me to summarize your actions. You parked illegally in a handicapped spot, blocked access for disabled individuals, insulted an officer, refused to cooperate, and then retaliated against an innocent employee to avoid accepting responsibility." Beckford shifts in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. Caprio continues. "You abused your authority. You humiliated a loyal worker. And you did it because of your own ego." Beckford snaps. "My ego? This is ridiculous. It was a parking mistake. It happens. I pay the fine. We move on." Caprio's voice turns icy. "This was not a parking mistake, Mr. Beckford. This was a character mistake." The courtroom murmurs. Caprio's eyes are steady, unwavering. But the legal violation isn't even the worst part. The worst part is that you punished a man who depends on his job simply to shield yourself from embarrassment. Beckford pushes back, desperate. "Your Honor, firing an employee isn't illegal." Caprio nods slowly. "On its own, no. But firing an employee in retaliation for a law enforcement action, then lying to the court about it, is absolutely within this court's interest." Beckford stiffens. "I didn't lie." Caprio lifts the transcript again. "Your exact words before you admitted the truth were, 'I fired him because he wasn't performing.' That was a lie." Beckford's face turns bright red. Shame and anger fight for dominance. Caprio folds his hands calmly. "Mr. Beckford, I want to ask you something. When you fired Daniel Morris, did you consider how he would feed his children? Did you consider how he would pay rent? Did you consider the man at all?" Beckford looks away. Caprio's voice softens genuinely, painfully soft. "Because he considered you, for 8 years." Another silence, one heavy enough that even Beckford feels it. Caprio continues. "Mr. Beckford, there is something else, something I suspect you didn't know." Beckford looks up, confused. Caprio turns briefly to Daniel. "Mr. Morris, may I share what you told the clerk when you submitted your statement?" Daniel nods. Beckford shifts, uneasy. Caprio reads from a small note. "I am not here for money. I just want the judge to know what happened, because I don't want anyone else to go through what he did to me." Beckford stiffens. No money, no revenge, just honesty. The whole courtroom feels the impact of those words. Caprio sets the note aside. "Mr. Beckford, this court rarely sees humility from defendants of your stature, but we consistently see it from the people they hurt." Beckford's eyes dart nervously. "Your Honor, can we just settle the fine? I don't see why we need to drag this out." Caprio breathes slowly, in and out, grounding the courtroom in a calm that feels like the quiet before a storm. "We're dragging this out," Caprio says softly, "because you dragged an innocent man through humiliation he didn't deserve." Beckford looks like he finally feels the walls closing in. Caprio sits back, folding his arms. "Mr. Beckford, I'm about to issue my ruling. But before I do, I want to give you one final opportunity to say something to Mr. Morris." Beckford crosses his arms. "I'm not apologizing. I didn't do anything wrong." Gasps fill the courtroom. Caprio's expression darkens. "You stand by that?" "After everything we've heard, yes," Beckford snaps. "He shouldn't have distracted me. He shouldn't have put me in that situation. The ticket is his fault as much as mine." Daniel's face falls completely. Caprio lifts his hand. The room goes silent instantly. "Very well," Caprio says quietly. "Then you leave me no choice." Beckford looks confused. Dan worried. Caprio continues. "Mr. Morris, please stand once more." Daniel rises slowly. Caprio speaks to him gently. You have shown restraint, honesty, and dignity throughout this entire hearing. You will hear my ruling shortly. But I want to thank you for your courage in coming here today. Daniel nods, swallowing hard. Caprio turns back to Beckford. The change in his tone is unmistakable. No more softness, no more patience, only judgment. Mr. Beckford, he says, you will now face the consequences of your actions. Beckford grips the podium, bracing himself. Because the next part, Caprio says slowly, isn't about a ticket. He leans forward, eyes locked on Beckford. It's about accountability. The entire courtroom sits frozen. Thomas Beckford, once confident and smug, now looks like a man cornered on every side. Daniel Morris stands quietly behind him, hands clasped, the weight of 8 years of loyalty breaking across his face like an old wound. Judge Caprio is finally about to heal. Caprio breathes in slowly. The room is dead silent. Mr. Beckford, he begins, before I announce the punishment for your violations, I need you to understand something. In my courtroom, the law does not bend for money. It does not bend for arrogance. And it certainly does not bend for men who hurt others to protect their pride. Beckford clenches his jaw. Caprio continues, you misused your authority? You fired a loyal employee in retaliation for your own mistake. You lied to this court, and you have shown no remorse whatsoever, not even an ounce. Beckford snaps back, I told you already, I don't owe him anything. I made a business decision. Caprio looks at him for 3 long seconds. The only business you conducted, Mr. Beckford, was cruelty. A soft gasp rolls through the courtroom. Beckford's face darkens, but he holds his tongue. Caprio flips the folder shut. Here is my ruling. The entire courtroom holds its breath. For parking illegally in a handicapped zone and obstructing access, you are fined $500. Beckford scoffs under his breath. He can pay that before lunch. For failure to comply with the officer's lawful commands, you are fined an additional $250. Still nothing to him, Beckford shifts, almost relaxed again, believing. That's the worst of it. Caprio continues, voice steady. But those fines pale in comparison to the harm you caused Mr. Morris. Beckford rolls his eyes. Your Honor, with all due respect, Mr. Beckford, Caprio cuts sharply, you have given this court nothing resembling respect. Beckford shuts his mouth. Caprio turns to Daniel. Mr. Morris, please step forward again. Daniel hesitates, then approaches the podium. Caprio's tone softens instantly. Mr. Morris, I want to commend your courage. You did not come here seeking vengeance. You came seeking truth, and that speaks volumes about your character. Daniel nods slightly, unable to hide the emotion in his eyes. Caprio looks back at Beckford. Since your employer used retaliation and humiliation as weapons, this court is imposing corrective measures to restore fairness measures proportional to the harm you inflicted. Beckford straightens. What does that mean? Caprio folds his hands. It means that after today, Mr. Morris will no longer leave this courtroom empty-handed. Beckford's eyes widen. You can't be serious. I am absolutely serious. Caprio raises a small document. Mr. Morris, after reviewing your employment history, your termination, and the impact on your livelihood, I hereby issue a court order requiring Mr. Beckford to pay you 3 months of back wages, plus an additional month as compensation for retaliatory dismissal. Beckford explodes. This is outrageous. You're forcing me to pay him? For what? For crying in court, gasps. The gallery stirs in disbelief. Caprio's voice slices through the room. Watch your tone. Beckford slams his hand on the podium. He was a bad employee. Caprio calmly flips open the body cam transcript again. According to your own words, you fired him because you were embarrassed by a ticket, not because of poor performance. Beckford's anger twists into desperation. You're taking his side. I am taking the side of the truth, Caprio states simply. Something you have run from this entire hearing. Caprio's tone sharpens. But we are not done. Beckford looks stunned. Not done. No. Caprio leans forward slightly. Mr. Beckford, stand up. The courtroom freezes. Beckford rises slowly, confused, angry, and visibly shaken. Caprio turns to the bailiff. Officer Bryant, please bring the easel forward. The bailiff wheels out a tall easel with a stack of forms, attached employment reinstatement documents. Beckford's face drains of all color. You can't be serious. You? You cannot force me to rehire him. Caprio speaks calmly. I am not forcing you to employ him. I am forcing you to face him. On the record, Beckford is trembling now, rage, twisting into something like fear. Caprio turns to Daniel. Mr. Morris, please come stand beside Mr. Beckford. Daniel approaches hesitantly. Keeping his eyes low, Beckford tries to step back, but the bailiff moves as a silent reminder. He will stand where he's told. Caprio's tone becomes almost surgical precise, deliberate. Mr. Beckford, you fired this man with no notice, no severance, and no justification. Today, the consequences arrive. Beckford's voice cracks. This is humiliating. Caprio nods. Exactly, because humiliation is what you used to destroy his job. Now, you will understand its weight. Caprio points at the easel. That document is a formal record acknowledging the wrongful nature of Mr. Morris's termination. You will sign it. Beckford slams both hands down. No, absolutely not. Caprio's voice drops to a terrifying calm. If you refuse, I will hold you in contempt and fine you up to $1,000 for every day you fail to comply. Beckford looks like he's been punched. You can't try me, Caprio says quietly. The room goes dead silent. Beckford's breathing grows rapid. The empire of arrogance he carried into this courtroom is collapsing in front of everyone. He looks at Daniel for the first time. All Daryley looks at him. And Daniel, eyes tired but steady, meets his gaze with quiet dignity. Not anger, not revenge, just truth. Beckford breaks. Fine. He snatches the pen from the bailiff with shaking fingers, signs the document hard and fast, presses the pen so deeply the paper nearly tears. When he's done, he throws the pen down. Happy. Caprio doesn't react. No, but justice is. Beckford glares at Daniel. I hope you're satisfied, Daniel answers quietly. I just wanted you to tell the truth. Beckford looks away, ashamed. Caprio turns to Daniel with a gentle nod. Mr. Morris, you are dismissed. The clerk will provide instructions regarding your compensation. This court thanks you for your courage. Daniel steps back, tears in his eyes not of weakness, but of relief. Caprio now turns to Beckford, whose arrogance has fully melted into embarrassment. Mr. Beckford, you may sit. Beckford collapses into his seat. Caprio closes the folder with finality. Let this be a reminder. Leadership is not measured by power. It is measured by how you treat the people who depend on you. And today, Mr. Beckford, you failed that test miserably. Beckford stares at the floor. Caprio lifts the gavel. This hearing is adjourned. He strikes it once. The echo feels like a verdict on Beckford's entire way of life, and for the first time in maybe his entire career, Thomas Beckford leaves a room. Humbled, not by a competitor, not by a scandal, not by a CEO above him, but by a judge who still believes that justice is meant for everyone, not just the powerful.